Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lolix. Today, we'll be taking a look at Section 2 of the listening test of a sample IELTS exam. Read the questions given and try to answer them as the audio is being played. We will pause after each section in the dialogue to discuss the question related to it and answer them. Now, let's listen to the instructions.
Section 2.
You will hear a media studies tutor giving a lecture about news sources.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Okay, now many of you will have heard about the predicted death of newspapers as people increasingly access the TV and the internet for their news. Today, I want to look at the USA, which has very advanced news sources, to see if this is actually true. In the USA, the main news sources without doubt are TV, the internet, and the press. That is, traditional newspapers. And although they are each surviving and growing, they are also changing. Obviously, TV news has been around for a while, and the early evening bulletins when people get in from work are very popular. I suppose we traditionally think of the morning newspaper arriving on our doorstep with the daily news. Interestingly, this is not borne out by the statistics, which show that readership in the U.S. is much higher when people have time to relax, when they're not working, especially on Sundays.
That was the answer to question number 11, when the woman says that newspaper readership goes up when people have time to relax, when they're not working, and especially on Sundays. And Sunday is the weekend. So the answer to question number 11 is C.
The internet is also a popular weekend activity, but shows no variation with weekday access. So people are using the different sources in different ways. Interestingly, local radio has been hit less by the grip of quite strong local newspapers than by the internet, which is seen to offer a better regional service.
There we have the answer to question number 12, when the woman says that local radio has been hit less by the grip of local newspapers than by the internet, which is another way to say that the internet has affected the popularity of the local radio than newspapers. So the answer to question number 12 is B.
But just because the internet is seen as the new force in news media does not mean it is dominant. Television has, of course, been global for a while. But now technological changes, which have fueled the rise of online news, have also allowed newspapers to print and distribute editions across the world.
There was the answer to question number 13, when the woman says that technological improvements have helped newspapers to spread their editions all across the world, which is another way of saying internationally. So the answer to question number 13 is C.
In fact, Internet news, which is seen as the big competitor for traditional markets, does not offer that much variety. Often, the sources are the online versions of the newspapers, whereas television, in order to offer something different, has had to come up with a much more mixed bag of reporting, from hard news to light reports on celebrity events.
There we have just heard the answer to question number 14, when the woman says that television has had to offer a more mixed bag of reporting. Mixed bag is another way of saying varied. So the answer to question number 14 is A.
Another issue is reliability. The Internet is virtually unregulated, so anything can be reported there, whether true or not. Journalists on newspapers have fought a long, hard battle to fight intervention and to retain the freedom of the press. Television, however, is seen as critical to political power and has become subject to harsh controls about what it can or cannot say.
And there was the answer to question number 15, when the woman says that television has been subject to harsh controls about what it can and cannot show. And this is from the government. So this is another way of saying government intervention. So the answer to question number 15 is A.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, one very critical factor in keeping newspapers alive and well in the USA has been their approach to advertising. Obviously, newspapers are heavily dependent on advertising revenue, and they have become more and more imaginative in what they offer, in order to make sure that advertisers use them and not other news sources. This has meant that, contrary to popular belief, newspapers now have a significantly higher profit margin than the rest of American industry.
That was the answer to question number 16, where the woman first states that newspapers are being increasingly imaginative in how they attract advertisers, and due to that, now their profit margins are significantly higher than the rest of American industry. So significantly higher is another way of saying the word exceed. So the answer to question number 16 is profit margin.
So, how have they managed to raise advertising revenue in this way? Well, they have put a lot of effort into developing and maintaining a very strong association with the retail trade.
There was the answer to question number 17, when the woman says that newspapers have spent a lot of effort to develop and maintain a good association with the retail trade. So the answer to question number 17 is retail.
And they've come up with a winner. A critical tool in their sales plan has been suggesting that the adverts they run can have vouchers.
That was the answer to question number 18, when the woman says that the AdWords they run can have vouchers. So the answer to question number 18 is vouchers.
This has been enormously effective because they have found that not only do more people buy the paper to get the discounts, but also that this inevitably means much higher sales for the clients who advertised.
And there was the answer to question number 19, when the woman says that it created much higher sales for the clients who advertised. Now, since the section has asked us to write no more than 2 words, we will simply write the answer to question number 19 as clients.
As well as doing this, the newspapers have also introduced aggressive sales campaigns over the last few years. This has resulted in a significant and continuing rise in the number of advertisers prepared to pay the extra for full-page ads. So, what I would like to move on to...
And there we have the answer to question number 20, when the woman says that there is a continuing rise for the number of advertisers who are willing to pay more for full-page ads. So the answer to question number 20 is full page. That is the end of today's lesson. If you have any questions or doubts, please leave a comment. If you found the video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more similar content. Thank you.